All right, I come down a little hard on the ladies who want men to pay for them, and the reason is because I follow the economy and I understand a few things about what has happened to men's earnings, and I also understand a little bit about what's fair to men. Because we live in an age where men's earnings have declined significantly, and at the same time the cost of everything has gone up. So if I as a woman will only go on dates with men who take me out to a nice dinner without even knowing me, that man is taking a big chance because we may not hit it off and he has to have a large budget for dinners. And how many men are going to have a $500 budget every month to take women out? Is that money that they are using, putting on their credit card? Because that's a form of love bombing, because not that many men can afford that. Are they doing it because they're simping or they're love bombing you? Or do you actually are you actually dating like a celebrity or an athlete who can actually afford it? Because if he's not a 1% guy, he can't afford it and he's spending money on trying to impress you instead of paying off his student loans, his car, or saving for a house or for his business. A man in his 20s is supposed to build. So if he's spending that money instead on expensive dates for a woman, he's not going to be a very good husband because he's frivolous with his money and he's a people pleaser. And pretty soon he's going to be out of money. And then what are you going to do? Now, but if you have like a guy, and that is not your fault, ladies, it doesn't mean the guy is a bad guy. The economy is shit. Women are now earning as much as men. So the days of the man paying to prove he can be a provider and because he earned more money and he should pay are gone. And we have to live with the times. So if a guy is going way out of his way, investing money on a date, what is he going to get out of it? Is your company worth more than his? I don't think so. I enjoy the company of an interesting man who's funny and who's interesting and who's attractive. I enjoy that a lot. He doesn't have to pay for me to be there. I am there because I want to be there. And if the only reason I'm there is because he's paying for me, that's not fair to him. And why would he pay for me if he doesn't know me? That's not what real men do. It's a fantasy that guys should pay. So, ladies, if you're waiting for guys to pay for you, you may be single forever because the economy has changed. There are other ways to see if a man honors you as a queen or wants to be of service to you by listening to you, by caring about you, by doing things for you. Maybe fixing things around the house for you, or you need some advice on a bicycle, so he goes to the bicycle store with you, or he is attentive to you, he takes you to interesting places, he plans dates, he cares about your feelings, he honors your boundaries. Those are the ways that you can tell he's not pushing for sex, he's not putting you down, he's respectful, your friends like him. Those are all good signs. Because if a man is supposed to pay for dates, then you're supposed to put out, I'm not saying sex, because sex is worth at least $500 an hour, and I'm speaking from experience. So you don't owe him sex, you don't owe him anything, but if your attitude as a woman is, I'm only going to go out on dates if the guy pays, let's say it's lunch, it's $20, then he should only go out with a woman that he can at least grab a quick kiss or grab her ass or something, because that's what's important to him. You don't want to be used for sex and he doesn't want to be used for money. I'm trying to get ladies to wake up here. Now, if we were in the 50s and you were going to be a stay-at-home mom and he was still like a UPS driver, unionized, making today's equivalent of $100,000 a year with health care for the whole family, you're looking for a guy who wants to provide for you. Okay, let's go back to the 50s or the 60s. He wants to provide, he can provide, And he is going to provide because he can take you to dinner and still have his house payments covered. And he's showing you that he's going to be a provider and that he can be a provider. And you're taking on your role as the female who will be taking care of his home. So in return, you will be cooking for him, nurturing him. You will be doing needlepoint work, and you will be sewing, or you will be going to women's choir. You will be wearing dresses. You will be doing the more feminine things, and you will have your different roles. Maybe you even work, but ultimately your income is insignificant compared to his. And then it makes sense that he pays because he's making a lot more money, so he should pay. But this is not 1950 or 1960 or 1980. This is 2022. And men are broke. And if you're waiting for them to pay for you, you are plundering them the same way they plunder us if they fuck us and leave. That's my timer, sorry. It's the same thing. I'm trying to get ladies to wake up. I had a friend a few years ago who started dating this guy, and right out of the gate, he was spending a shit ton of money on her. They were making, they had like a channel that they had started, and he bought her all this podcast equipment. And they had never even made YouTube videos before, so they were just starting in on it. He bought the most expensive, elaborate equipment for $20,000. At the same time, he has young children. He's going through a divorce, and it turns out later he was dead broke on his ass. He was putting it all on credit cards, and he kept spending on her and spending on her. And like 6 months in, he hit the wall and he was broke. His credit cards were maxed out. He lost his house. But she loved all the money he was spending on her because he was love bombing her, and it just felt so good. But it was all a mask. It wasn't real. He wasn't building with her. He was destroying himself in an attempt to gain her approval, to impress her. And in the end, he ended up doing some very shady stuff, and she had to get a restraining order. Don't trust men who overspend on you right away, because they are either people pleasers, they're not self-expressed, they're manipulating you to get something. Now, if he's just paying for lunch or coffee, fine, but then why aren't you paying for the next time? Why don't you want to pay for him? There's an entitlement there, there's a control issue there, there's something there. I knew this other woman who made like about $300,000 a year. She's a doctor. And she would always want men to buy her groceries, and she was so insistent they had to pay for her groceries or they had to pay for the gas. And she would get very fixated on how much they were paying for the gas. The guy's a millionaire. She's making $300,000 a year, and they're fighting over who pays for the gas. And needless to say, he ended up leaving her because she was so controlling and rigid and angry. And so when people are so insistent on, he must pay for me, I always want to point out why. Like, if you're so fixated on that, why? Like, it's a control thing. It's a prove to me you love me. It's it's a why must someone be that way? It's very controlling. Like, why? And what are you doing for this guy? And in all honesty, I look at my sons who are very successful and have very devoted wives, submissive, loving, interesting. Well, one is married, one is dating. And it's 50-50 everything. It's always been 50-50. They don't use their wallet to learn women because they don't have to. And a high quality man, a relational man with options, who values himself, who's building for the future, who's paying off his student loans, building to buy a house, he's not going to open his wallet and drain it on a woman because he doesn't have to. And a high quality woman who's interested in a relationship isn't going to expect that, in my opinion. It's my opinion, but I want to know what you think. But I'm just saying, the way the economy is now, and with women earning as much as men, we have to adjust. We can't just plunder men. They're as broke as you are. Have some compassion for the guys and find some other ways, maybe, to think about. Else, I think a lot of you ladies are going to be single forever. Um, Now, if you want a guy to pay for you, just be more direct. You can become a prostitute, you can become a sugar baby, and that way you can get a lot of money and you can give them sex in return, and it's actually a very nice lifestyle. And it's a lot more honest, and you're not, relying on men to pay for you whatever they want to pay. It's upfront, and the men get the sex they want, you get the money, and then you can go and eat by yourself and go out with your girlfriends. So really think about what you really want from a man. Why are you really dating a man? Is it just to get access to his wallet? Or is it because you actually like him? That's all I want to say. This one, I think the guys are going to like this video. This is an equal opportunity channel. It's called Straight Talk.